Jason Lloyd here with 10 Count Boxing News, coming at you with some awesome news. Okay, boxing fans, we have Dillian the Body Snatcher White. He wants that smoke from Andy Ruiz Jr. And what does he do? He comes out and he calls him a fake Mexican, guys. Okay, so we all know that those are fighting words right there. Okay, so shortly after Dillian White KOs Alexander Povetkin in a rematch where he lost the first fight, Dillian was asked about the Ruiz versus Areola match. Okay, he said, quote, "It's a good strategic move from his team, him coming back, and he will bash Areola. People will say Andy Ruiz Jr., yeah, he's back and he's motivated, he looks good, but let's be honest, it's Chris Areola that he's fighting. Typical joke fight from a fake Mexican, quote unquote." And those were the words of Dillian White, and this dude has balls saying stuff like that, especially to the only fighter who ever KO'd Anthony Joshua, a fighter that knocked out Dillian White himself, that being Anthony Joshua. So Dillian's going off in his own world, and he is basically not quite yet calling out Andy Ruiz Jr., but he might as well have by calling him a fake Mexican, okay? So now, by no means am I bashing Dillian White. Matter of fact, I think he's definitely one of the top, 5 fighters in the world in the heavyweight division right now. He is one tough SOB. He's always taken on some of the great tough fighters. He has a good resume as well, and he's constantly calling out Wilder over and over again for years. He's been doing this, and he wants that smoke from Wilder, and I believe that now he wants that smoke from Andy Ruiz Jr. But let's be honest, okay? The first time that Dillian White fought Alexander Povetkin, Povetkin was 40 years old, okay? And he got knocked out by Povetkin, 40 years old, okay? So come the second time in the rematch, Povetkin catches the coronavirus, comes back, he turns 41, he fights Dillian. Povetkin looked horrible. Dillian did look good though, so I'm not taking anything away from Dillian. But he did win that match, and he did knock out Alexander Povetkin. But with that said, Povetkin was 41 years old, and with that said, it's a very interesting fact that White would talk smack to the only man who ever did knock out Anthony Joshua and call him a fake Mexican. That's definitely fighting words. As a matter of fact, if Andy defeats Areola, and he will come May 1st, he will defeat Chris Areola in a very tough fight, watch for Andy Ruiz to come out and say, you know what, I want to fight Dillian White, because Dillian White, not only did he say that about Andy, but he is also the road to becoming undisputed as well, because Dillian White is currently the WBC interim heavyweight champion. Okay, so that fight would be very entertaining between White and Andy Ruiz Jr. And currently we see the condition that Andy is in, and he's in beast mode. He's training on Team Canelo Alvarez. He has the trainer Eddie Reynoso's. He's surrounded with champions. Canelo. He has nothing but tough fighters around him, and one champion after another to whisper in his ear and give him that motivation that he's been needing for so long to become the heavyweight champion again. So Andy Ruiz Jr. is definitely back on track, and Dillian White is as well. And I believe that because Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder isn't saying anything about possibly fighting Dillian White, I believe that Dillian White's going with the next best thing, and I believe that he's taunting Andy Ruiz Jr., and it's definitely going to work, because Andy, that's a fight that Andy could definitely win. Okay, mark my words, Andy Ruiz Jr. will knock out Dillian the Body Snatcher White. His skills are superior to Dillian's. He has faster hand speed. Andy Ruiz Jr. has been fighting since the age of 6 years old, and he was underrated going into fighting Anthony Joshua, And AJ learned the hard way that the guy was a lot tougher than he expected. Now, he did come in looking like a butterball on the second fight, okay, which was very, very dumb, and he's confessed himself that he let the world down on that. He came in like 283 pounds, I believe, and he lost that fight with stamina, just not being able to lunge forward and being able to throw big power shots. Anthony Joshua played it safe and boxed from the outside. However, when they did get up close and personal, and the Anthony Joshua Andy Ruiz 2 fight, every time that him and AJ got up close, Andy started putting it on him, so that made AJ go back and take a step back and keep using his jab, and basically just win on just his jab alone. Well, Andy's a different monster right now. He has lost a ton of weight, and he's turned a lot of it into muscle, and he's working on his stamina. He's working on power shots, his movement. Canelo currently teaching him the shoulder roll and how to move his head, and I mean, he's just becoming the total package fighter. With all that said, I believe that Andy Ruiz Jr. will defeat Dillian Whyte if they do fight, and I believe that they will. They'll probably fight after the Chris Arreola and after the AJ Fury fight gets booked. I believe that might be both of their next fight, and I think that Andy Ruiz Jr. will knock out Dillian Whyte devastatingly, and it'll probably be in the later round. I'm not saying he's going to come in there and blast him out in the first round. It's going to be very entertaining, but Andy Ruiz will KO Dillian Whyte, and he'll definitely get a shot after that. Andy Ruiz will get exactly what he wanted, and he'll by winning the WBC interim heavyweight belt, he'll have a shot at whoever wins the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight. And sometimes things are better left unsaid, folks, boxing fans, and Whyte should have really never called Andy Ruiz Jr. a fake Mexican. That was his bad on that note. But let's go over the tail of the tape on these two guys. We got Andy Ruiz Jr. He's coming in at 33-2 with 22 KOs. He's the former unified heavyweight champion of the world. He is 6'2" with a 74-inch arm reach, and he is currently 257 pounds as of 2 days ago, and he is aiming to be at 255 by the fight versus Chris Arreola. Okay, so Dillian Whyte, we'll go over his tape. He's currently 28-2 with 19 KOs. He is 6'4". He has a 78-inch reach, and his last fight weigh-in was 247 pounds. And like I said, he's the current WBC interim heavyweight champion of the world. Now, Dillian has been calling this fight like a joke fight and whatever, but let me remind you, I believe that Chris Arreola has somewhere around 37 knockouts, okay? And so with that said, that's more people than Dillian Whyte has fought in the boxing ring. Chris Arreola has knocked out that many people. So it's definitely not a tune-up fight between Arreola and Andy Ruiz, but it is a fight that I believe that Ruiz is going to win and look good doing so in a hard, tough fight. Okay, with that said, if y'all ain't liked and subscribed to your boy's channel, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there. Get off your couches and please hit that button. We're going to be giving away these boxing gloves once I hit 1,000 subscribers, guys. You know, it'll help me out a lot. Please hit the like button. Leave a comment down below. Some of you guys may think that Andy Ruiz Jr. Cannot defeat Dillian. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. I'll get back to you. We'll talk about it. We'll have a little dialogue and this and that. But my goodness, who would not want to see Andy Ruiz Jr. in the shape that he's in right now take on in shape Dillian the Body Snatcher Whyte, guys? That fight would be fantastic. I know that everybody wants to see it. I would love to see that, and I would pay to see it on pay-per-view. But again, Dillian Whyte poked that stick right at the heart of Andy Ruiz Jr., and I believe that this one will work and it'll push him over the edge for that fight. With that said, this is Jason Loya with 10 Count Boxing News. And remember, after the 10 count, you out, suckers! Peace!
Boxing fans, boxing fans. remember, after the 10 count, you out.